Welcome to Lead Where You Live, Tucson Voices in Leadership. I'm Jamie Leon-Guerrero.
And I'm Proudest. This podcast is all about real people leading with heart in our community.
We believe leadership isn't about titles, it's about action. And Tucson is full of people making a difference in big and small ways.
Join us as we chat with inspiring voices who are showing up, stepping up, and shaping Tucson's future.
Let's get into it. Hello, Tucson, and welcome to another Lead Where You Live with Jamie and
Rayson.
Today's guest is Gerald, also known as Buddy Machen. He's in the Lead Tucson class of 2025. A little bit about Buddy is he's a California transplant that has made a home on the east side of Tucson with his girlfriend, Jamie, great name, and their cat, Bobby. A 10-year-old Navy veteran, he brings an engaging background that includes 7 years of nuclear experience aboard the USS Ronald Reagan and 3 years in inspection, testing, and quality assurance. In 2020, he graduated as part of the inaugural undergraduate class from the University of Arizona's, Dollywall Ready,
Yes.
Dang, good job, Jamie. School of Accountancy. And is currently in a CPA testing cycle. He's passionate about spending time with loved ones, supporting nonprofit and mission-based organizations, and advocating for equity in accounting. Buddy is currently serving his first term on the board of directors for Treasures for Teachers of Tucson, a role he is always eager to discuss. With both his sister and his boss being alumni of Lead Tucson's best class ever, he sees it as a destiny to help make the class of 2025 the best class yet. Welcome, Buddy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And well, I guess you can answer this either way, but the first question we're going to ask is, where does your name come from? So I wouldn't mind knowing where your Buddy comes from as well, if you don't mind sharing both.
Yeah, I don't mind at all. So firstly, I'm named after my dad. I am Gerald Thomas Machen Jr. So that's where that comes from. I guess I don't think it comes from anywhere prior to my father. Somebody just named him that, and that's where we've been. But also my father hasn't, I guess there's times where he wasn't around as much. And so my mother decided that she wanted to call me something other than his name. And so it is still my name, and I have no issue with it being my name. But most people do call me Buddy because as long as I can remember, my mother has been calling me Buddy, then the rest of my family. And then it's like, you get to school and everybody says Gerald, and it's like me, but I'm Buddy, and then yeah, so it was a whole thing. But so that's kind of where Buddy came into the mix, just so that I wasn't always Gerald.
Well, and that would make sense too, because it makes it a lot easier than calling out Gerald and having two people answer all the time, right?
Right.
So,
It's always fun when I'm trying to send you an email for work and I'm like typing in Buddy and I'm like, ugh, it's not that.
Yeah,
I'm like, you're like government name.
It's also difficult because I don't really know how to introduce myself. Like people might see that I do have a very small, albeit, but still have a footprint online as Gerald. But I've always been Buddy. So when I meet new people, especially when it comes to a work setting, I'm like, I'm Gerald, but you might know me as Buddy, or the other way around.
What's the Machen from? Is there an origin or?
They're both Germanic. So my father was adopted, and I don't have a lot of information about that. So I don't know if he was adopted with that name already, or if he was adopted and then they wanted him to have that name. So it doesn't really have any connection to, my family lineage or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they both come from a German base.
Okay. Thank you.
No,
I'm with
no
you
problem.
on the German background.
Right?
So not with Proudest, you can't tell, but my maiden name is Gergen, spelled Goergen. So I totally get you on the, who are you? Oh, it's Rayson. What's your last name? How do you say it? We had that conversation at the beginning. Wait, how do you pronounce your last name? I get that all the time. Actually, Jamie, you probably get that too, with like, how do you pronounce your last name? So yeah.
Well, I know in your bio you had mentioned you live like on the other side of town, far
Hmm.
away on the east side. But why the east side? And what do you love most about like where you live?
The east side, mostly because I wanted to be in Tucson, but affordable, but not like crazy in Tucson, you know. I like my space still a little bit. So over here really it's kind of a little bit slower. I don't know if you've been to the South, but like the way the South is like I love it. It's just everybody's just taking it easy. Like even though yeah, like, I've got deadlines, I've got this, but everybody's like, "Oh, I've got deadlines and I've got this. And that's kind of how it feels over here. Like, you know, everybody commutes to work, but like in the evening, it's just like quiet and mellow and so it's a little off the beaten path, but it was also affordable, which is kind of the top notch reason for me being over here. But I actually really like it. There, you know, especially it's growing over here a lot, so that's a really nice thing. You know, the West Side restaurants are now kind of some of them are on the East Side, and it's like, oh, I don't have to drive 30 to 45 minutes to get this anymore. So that's pretty nice. And I live near the wash, right? The Pantano Wash, or I don't know what you want to call it, but after the monsoons, it's like a river and it's flowing and it's nice and it's green all around it, and that feels kind of nice too because I'm from Northern California, which it's very lush up there, I guess you would say. Like, especially the coastline is like tropical. But even where I'm from, it's very foresty and those deep greens. So seeing more green kind of is exciting to me. I like the vegetation, I guess.
Yeah.
And I bet you get a lot of wildlife too in
I
your.
mean, I don't so much because I'm still in like a relatively developed area, but I mean, you do see it. And actually, I don't know if you guys heard, which is kind of sad, that there's been some poisoning of wildlife over here along the wash. Yeah, and so that's I mean, that's further down the wash from me, but still, it's pretty unfortunate.
I think I learned about that when we were at Camp GTL because they on where we were at on even on the west side, we were hiking and they saw a gray fox and they were thinking that like it looked like it might have been like a poisoning and they had found another fox. So and in that conversation they were talking about the east side kind of poisonings that were happening and that was making me really sad.
I mean, it is
So
pretty unfortunate.
yeah. But I when I first moved to Tucson, I was on the east side, like Camino Seco and Broadway, like east.
Mhm.
But I just was always drawn to like fourth, right? Like the Wench and there was Revolutionary Grounds there still and like all of the restaurants that maybe aren't there anymore because of the pandemic, but I was just like always driving to downtown
Yeah.
that like that for me, like I needed to be near that. Like I just wanted to the closeness of like that downtown Fourth Ave feeling. But I originally was on the east side when I came here, so I get it.
I bet you have better views of the night skies too. A little
Yeah,
farther from central Tucson.
it
Yeah.
is much darker at night over here. And I mean, we do have pretty good views of, you know, because we're close to the Rincons and we get a pretty good view of the Santa Catalinas. So
Nice.
it's pretty nice over here, I think.
Yeah. Will you tell us a little bit of something that people don't necessarily know about you?
I mean, I guess I kind of alluded to it in my bio, and that is that I'm a military veteran. And I was in the United States Navy for about 10 years, and it wasn't awful. I mean, it was pretty great experience for my life. I just got out because I joined late. So then if I were to do 20 years, I would get out and be, well, I guess I would have been in my 40s. And I thought that was a little bit challenging for me specifically to try to start a career. And so what I did in the Navy was we basically worked on the nuclear power plants that propel and power the aircraft carriers. So I spent about like a 7-year period learning nuclear power, all the theories behind it, and it actually operates, and then moving into that position of actually operating a nuclear power plant and all the auxiliary systems associated with that. So that's something that as an accountant, most people don't expect that I have done. So I guess that's something. I don't have any hidden talents or anything exciting like that. So I apologize.
Does that mean that you spent time like did you spend extended time on ships?
But yeah, very extended time.
So
Unfortunately,
what would be
extended time.
what would you say is your longest time stint that you spent on a ship?
So I guess the longest like period of time was 10 months, but we do stop. Like, maybe once a month we'll stop in a port and see dry land and get to do stuff. But in general, I would say straight time, like 3.5 to 4 months of just floating around the ocean.
So I take it you don't get seasick.
It's actually funny because when I first was on the boat, we were sponsored by the Navy League of Santa Barbara. And so we actually took this trip to Santa Barbara. Because we were stationed in San Diego, we cruised up to Santa Barbara, and then we anchored out off of Santa Barbara, and then these big ferries came and picked us up and took us into Santa Barbara. And so that was my first like underway experience, being off of the pier. And I got to Santa Barbara, and I was in this shop. I remember thinking about it. It was like some shop on the main shopping street of Santa Barbara, and all of a sudden I started like getting like I felt like I was rocking in the store, and I thought I was going to pass out, but it ended up just being fine. But I guess that's like part of like the process of getting your sea legs, is like all of a sudden you feel like land is weird and like sea is normal. But no, I have never gotten seasick other than that one weird instance. But sometimes people would get seasick on so we call them Liberty boats, basically. So when we pull into a port, you would take a Liberty boat to Liberty. Sorry, my cat is. And those things, like, they could be rough seas sometimes, on the travel in, and especially on the travel out after people have been, imbibing and having a good time in port. Then it wouldn't be always super pretty. But I haven't been one to get seasick, no.
But
I envy
apparently,
you.
I guess we'll have to call it a land sick then if you were,
Right?
right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was strange. I was not prepared for that. I thought they would warn me if that was something that happened, but I just got to experience it on my lonesome.
Yeah. That sounds I don't know. I get extreme motion sickness, so
Mm.
I'm like so envious that you do not.
Well, to be fair, it's an aircraft carrier, and so it's much larger. If you think of like a normal, the small ships, I guess, like frigates or something like that, they're much more like bothered by the waves and the motion of the sea. An aircraft carrier is so like dispersed that you're not really feeling that nearly as much. So I can't say if I had gone on a small ship, if I would have. I did get to go on a submarine a couple times. I did not love it. It's not my favorite thing. I'm not, so everybody asks because I was in the Navy. They're like, you must be a swimmer. And I'm like, no, that's not, I'm not one of those. I don't swim well at all. So going under the water for long periods of time makes me even more uncomfortable. But yeah,
Wow, what an experience.
I
yeah,
know.
it was actually it was a very good experience.
Thank you for your service. We appreciate you.
Thank you for thanking me.
You're in the lead Tucson class. You're kind
Yes,
of
ma'am.
learning about your strengths and you're around like 40 other leaders. How does leadership show up for you, like in your personal, professional, and like while you're in the Tucson community?
That's a great question. So, firstly, I consider myself to be a very people centric leader. So, in my personal life, I kind of feel like it's always present, and mostly in empowering the people that I interact with on a daily basis. Like my girlfriend, who I live with, like she's going to school and she wants to be a nurse, and she's going to the University of Arizona right now. So I'm super proud of her. And I think that things like that, like I am always going to be there to cheer her on and hopefully help raise her up and kind of, I guess, hopefully push her to do the best she can. And really, I think that's all you can do. So I think that in my personal life, that's kind of where leadership shows up. Professionally, it's definitely a mixed bag. I think that, I mean, one of the things that I'm learning, or that I have slightly learned in this Lead Tucson class, is that I used to consider myself to be an introvert. I never really wanted to talk to anybody. If you saw me anywhere out and about, like I'd be like head down, like pushing on, so like nobody like flagged me down. But I kind of am learning to, like, I guess, I don't know, mimic an extrovert. I'm still not super comfortable with a lot of interaction, but I have become much better at it and much more fluid with it. And that is kind of a big part of the job that I do is kind of interacting with people and kind of, I mean, really reassuring, a little bit of coaching, a little bit of steering, but mostly just being like, here's where you are, here's where you need to be, here's where you want it to be, and here's how we can get there kind of situation. And so I think being able to comfortably talk to them, especially if I've never met them or I don't know them, has been um, the biggest thing where like the stuff I've learned in the Lead Tucson class has kind of helped me interacting with all of my peers in the class and kind of learning from them. You know, like some of them are super amazing. I mean, I think they're all amazing, but some of them are like just achieving it at like a rate that's insane. And I'm like,
Right.
you are impressive people. And so I get to share space with them at least once a month and kind of pick their brains, learn from them, hear what they have opinions on different things. And I think that that's really helped me in my personal life. I mean, in my professional life. And then community wise, I think really just I've been looking to find like the best fit for me. You know, like I really want to enact change. That is something that, and not everything needs to be changed, right? So I don't want to just change everything wholesale, but I really want to be like the change that you want to see. You know, and trying to find the place where I can feel that happening, like I can feel myself making a difference, has been challenging. But that's kind of what my aspirations for my leadership are is to help enact positive change in the community. And so I am serving on just one board right now, Treasures for Teachers of Tucson, which you had mentioned. And that's really an organization kind of focused on providing low cost and no cost supplies to teachers so that they don't have to go to Target and spend $100 to get their lesson plan off the ground, things of that nature. And so that's something I'm pretty passionate about. And it really all kind of boils down in my mind to equity, to giving the Title I schools the same chance that the charter schools have or whatever it may be, and helping provide those supplies in a hopefully cheaper way is something that will hopefully lead to a little bit more equity in the classroom, which, will go down the path to equity everywhere. So I guess that's where I feel my leadership has taken me, and kind of how it shows up.
I was actually intrigued because I think one of the first used was for you regarding leadership was empowerment. So I'd love it if you could tell me a little bit more about what does it mean for you personally to empower others? Because we use that word a lot. We throw that word around, and I'd love to hear your personal take on that.
I mean, I feel like there can be some leaders who are more directional, and sometimes that might come off as like a pushy leader almost. And that is kind of far from what I am. I want people to, like, one of the things that I think is like a huge thing that leaders can do that sometimes doesn't get done is just asking the question, like, especially just, we'll use work as an example. It's just like somebody comes to you and asks you how to do something. You can just tell them how to do it. That is perfectly fine. But I think that one of the things I really like to do is say, like, how do you think we should do it? Because that gives them, I mean, it's empowering to have somebody who you feel is your boss ask for your opinion on something, ask you to tell them how it should be done. And then it gives, them a little bit of time to kind of sit in the situation and be like, like, how would I do that? And then when we get to how we would like to do it in that instance, then they can kind of, you know, take the steps to get from where they were to like how we are going to do it, and then maybe process like why we have these other steps or the other process, or maybe they're the ones who know the right way and maybe I've been doing it wrong. And so I don't think that anybody should feel like their opinion isn't valued or doesn't matter. And so that's kind of one of the things that I feel work wise is something that I strive to empower, anyone who works under me. Even, I mean, obviously people who work above me are empowered already, but I would love to see like everybody have a say in the direction of the organization and not specifically like one person deciding this is how it's going to be.
Of so many things about what you said. You had so many great nuggets there. Some of the things that I heard were lifting up the voices of others, right? Allowing everyone to have a voice. I also heard kind of the philosophy of, I always get quotes wrong, but teach give somebody a fish, they get to eat for a day, teach them how to fish, they eat for life, right? That kind of philosophy of allowing people to learn and grow and to sit with thoughts. Like, that's something that we don't in our society. Everything's like, do, right? Giving people the opportunity to sit with their thoughts and to take that moment to take a breath, think about it, analyze it, and come back with something so you can hear their voice. I just feel like that's really powerful.
Yeah, I hope so.
I love what you said about that because a lot of times I think my restorative strength activated. I'm also an activator when you had talked. And sometimes it's not about being right or wrong, but asking, like, I love that you're like, how do you think we should do it? Because a lot of times, like, old processes can be refined and like done so much better. And to just be open to that and like hearing them out means so much, could mean so much, even if the process doesn't change, right? It's like, that's valid and fair. And but then, like how you said, you're going to explain, but this is why we do it. And I think that piece sometimes gets missing when you're trying to like teach someone how to do something. It's just like, well, this is how we've done it for 20 years, but no room to like make it better. And it's like, thank you for sharing that because I think everyone should do that.
And you're also really, to me, showing from your perspective that empowerment means modeling teamwork and partnerships
Mhm.
rather than a top down approach.
Yeah, I think that yeah, I mean I'm hopeful and the way I think about it is like, I'm from a certain generation and there's obviously going to be all these generations after me, hopefully. And things are going to change, right? There's going to be new technology, there's going to be new ways of doing things and I don't want to be the dinosaur who's just like, nope, we're going to do this on pencil and paper for the rest of our lives. Like I'm going to get my abacus and I'm going to count, your money and then we'll do it that way. No, I think that there's always going to be these advances in technology and advances in processes that we can always, you know, help better, the product that we are providing to the client.
Yeah, that was great.
And you actually answered our next question in your first question, which was, but if you want to highlight anything about what was your biggest takeaway from GTL and how has it impacted you or the Tucson community?
I would say that I mean number one, I once again will kind of go back to the fact that I get to share space with all these amazing people at least one time a month. Sometimes there's optional days to share even more time with them. And I think that I really wish I had more time to do some of the stuff that is available to do through the Lead Tucson program. I mean, I think Jamie, you just got to go see one of my cohort members speak at Fast Pitch, which I think is amazing. Like that is super amazing to be able to go to my class and see this guy who was up on the stage at the Fox Theater, giving a pitch in front of this really respected room. Like I, I'm amazed by people at all times. So I think that that's one of the hugest things is just getting to know these people and kind of share my what I'm doing and what I want to do and what I could do with them and have them kind of reciprocate and share that with me. But the other thing I think is really just getting to because when we first when we first joined the cohort when we came together for our retreat, everybody was like standoffish and like shy and like I don't know this person, so I'm not going to talk to him and this and that. And then now it's like we're all just friends. We go there and we like let's just say like, hey, how's it going? Like, how are you doing? And if I see them out and about, we interact and see how everything's going. I think I just went to cookies and cocktails for the Girl Scouts a couple weeks ago or last week. I don't know. The days just run together. Um, but I got to see another one of my cohort members who is a team member of the Girl Scouts, and she was there. And then there was some other people who were in my class who were just there also as like, consumers, I guess. And so I think that the networking aspect is amazing. And then I just feel like I've grown into myself being around people who are at that level. Like I feel like I've kind of learned a little bit more about who I am and observed a little bit about how other people do things and was able to take some of that on and say, wow, that person was really great when they did this. Like maybe I'll try to do some form of that. So yeah, I can't rave reviews from me. I think that it's the best thing I could have done at this point in my life. I would recommend it to anybody.
Beyond the networking, what it really sounds like to me, kind of what you're describing, is this massive mastermind group, right? Like you have this ability to mastermind every month and outside of that in other locations with 40 people. There's a saying that you are who the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? And so really the networking combined with the mastermind means that you've got way more than 5 people that you get to spend a lot of time with and really have this wonderful opportunity to challenge each other and to meet each other where you're at and to support each other.
I will also notate that the speakers are also super amazing. They come and they provide us with a ton of information that, I mean, you just don't get this like behind the scenes look often. And so to have, you know, the Pima County Economic Development Director like come in and like tell us, this is our plan, this is what we're doing, these are the things we have done, this is where we're going. It's literally like, am I in his office? Like, is he reporting to me on like his business plan? Like, no, he's just sharing with us some information that we most likely, like, we might be able to get one or two of these speakers to tell us this information at some point in time, but like to month after month have these like people who are going to really like lift the veil and tell us exactly what's going on in the Tucson area, Pima County. That's also been very fantastic.
It's that connecting piece. I think that GTL does a really good job at connecting, whether that's connecting the cohort together, connecting all of the alum, but also connecting you to like community. That's the organizations that they bring in during the issue days. That's the speakers and our experts on these issues. I just think the connection piece, I think GTL does a really good job of doing that. So it's really neat. Like I show up for the days just like you do, and I'm just like, ooh, we have that speaker because I'm not on the program side. So I like come into these days sometimes like just as in awe as the rest of the class. Like, oh, or I heard them speak last year. It's gonna be so good. Like it's like so I get really excited at the caliber of these presenters and community members that come in and volunteer their time. Like, and you do get that almost like how you said, like when are you gonna have the time to have like a one-to-one with Heath, the Pima County Economic Developer? I mean, unless you're gonna read his economic development plan that they're launching, right? Like you don't really get that one-to-one. And I don't know, I think we do a really good job about it.
To need to keep us on time here. So I think we need to move on to our boundary breaker question. What is the proudest moment of your life? Why was it special?
Gosh, I don't know if I have an answer, but I thought I was going to have a moment to think about it. I honestly, I would have to say, and I don't know if anybody knows this, probably the GTL, the alumni mixer, the luau one at Corbett's, just because for me, it was like pretty, I was super proud because I got to have my mother come, which, you know, that's kind of a huge deal to me for my mother to be proud of me. My girlfriend was there and my boss was there who's a GTL alum. Unfortunately, my sister couldn't make it, but I just felt like I got to like have the important people to me, like the really important people, although my other sister also wasn't there. But a large portion of the really important people to me, um, like for who I am, see what
Mhm.
I'm achieving or what I am trying to achieve. And that was pretty enormous to me, I think. Like there's been other proud moments, but that was, and then I did the raffle thing. So I was the raffle announcer and I tried my best to get out of that because I strongly felt that the raffle should be announced, but it wasn't going to be announced. And I was like, we have to announce it. And it's not even my event. I don't even know why I care, but I was like, people want to know what they won or if they won. And so I was like, we got to do it. And so they were like, okay, you get a member of your class and you guys do it. And I was like, all right, I got this. And I was
Mhm.
100% planning on passing the microphone off to whoever joined me. And so there was two people there that I was like, one of these people is going to do it. And so I talked to the first one and he was like, I'm not going to talk. And I was like, let me find the other one. I looked around and I couldn't find him anywhere. I don't know where he was at that juncture, but at that point it was like sink or swim. And so I was like, all right, we're doing it. And like I said, my mom's there, my girlfriend's there, my boss is there, like, other cohort members. And I was like, here we go. And so I got on the mic and I announced the winners of the raffle. And I was super nervous, relatively embarrassed whilst doing it. But then I was like, what does it matter? I mean, I'm having a good time doing it. The people who are winning are having a good time. The people who are losing, not so much of a good time, but still a good time because people are having fun. And so that was kind of my first endeavor into like I'm an introvert, but like maybe I can do these like extrovert things. And
You
so that
did.
was also pretty proud.
Yeah. I didn't want to be on the mic, and I think I might have handed it to you. Like, you do it then, and you did a phenomenal job. And it was really cool to see like everybody come up and like everyone clap. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no, I think it was super fun. But yeah, that to this day right now, I think is the proudest moment. I've had some achievements that like I would be proud of, but it's really like what my interactions with the people I love and how I get to, show them who I am and what I'm doing that makes me the most proud, I think.
Yeah. I'll keep mine super short for time. My proudest moment that I will share is just watching my only child, my daughter, become a mom and an amazing mom, and like meeting those beautiful grandbabies. They make me so proud. I love it.
I'm going to stick with the theme of empowerment. So I was an upward bound science and math teacher one summer, and our project was wetlands, a wetland project in the bog, out in nature. We had to go collect things, and we started this summer with someone who had never, city person, had never been into the woods, let alone a bog where we had to go collect things. And skip forward, by the time we get to the end of the thing, she ended up actually touching a tadpole and was so excited. I didn't pressure her through the whole thing. It was like I just took my time. Everyone kind of encouraged her. And by the end, she touched a tadpole and she started dancing. She was so proud of herself. I touched a tadpole, like it was just such a moment where I was like, oh my gosh, this is what it means to empower people. Like it was such a tiny thing, but it was so big to her, right?
It's excellent.
All right. I don't know where we are on the questions.
I think.
We're down to our rapid fire, right?
Okay.
All right.
Close the you go. This all you, Racing, because I closed the Word doc.
Did you? Okay.
I did.
Here I go. Are you a planner or a spontaneous person?
Planner, for sure.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I would guess flight, just because it would be so nice to be like a bird,
Cool. Mm-hmm.
Introvert or extrovert?
Introvert, for sure.
What's one thing you can't live without?
I would guess like a computer. I'm a computer person, so
Logic or intuition?
intuition.
And the last one, what's your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
Mm. This is actually super sad, but I like to sit on the couch and watch Love After Lockup with my girlfriend. It's like the most terrible show that is like so addicting. So yeah, that's kind of an evening of winding down.
I love it.
That's awesome. It's not sad at all. I feel like then I have a sad life also.
How we kind of escape, right? Wind down, escape, live in another.
Oh, you're also going to make me rethink my like logic and intuition on that, because I'm all about logic. But once you said intuition, I was like, is that might actually be better? That might be better.
I'm a intuition is like first, right? Like that's what happens. Like as soon as I meet someone, as soon as an experience happens, like then there's a feeling. Then later you can try to sift through that and chop it up logically. But I'm intuition first. Like that hits me and I'm like, I don't know.
Well,
Then later, like I might change my mind if I think about it long enough, but that's definitely intuition for me.
see, this must be why Jamie and I get along so well, because I am all about the logical. Like someone says something immediately, I've got all the different strands of all the different ways things could happen, and then I realize what I'm feeling.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So, Buddy, do you have any sort of special projects or events that you would like to promote? Something that would be this summer or fall, a little bit later happening, or you can promote an organization, whatever you'd like to kind of put out there for people to consider.
Well, I don't think any specific. I mean, obviously GTL, I have rave reviews about Greater Tucson leadership, But after that, I really feel like just find your passion. Like you can do the events or the projects that I am involved with. If that's your passion, that's great. But really just find something that draws you to do it and do that. And that may be, you know, that may be helping United Way with something, that may be helping Treasure for Teachers with something, that may be helping GTL with something. Whatever
Mhm.
makes you feel like you've accomplished something or done something, do that.
And that is exactly a perfect example of how you lead with empowerment. Thank you so much, buddy, for being on our show today.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I had a great time. I have a lot of respect for both of you, so thank you for allowing me to share the space with you.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Lead Where You Live. We hope you're feeling inspired by our guest's story and the impact they're making right here in Tucson.
If you love this conversation, help us spread the word. Share this episode, subscribe on YouTube, and tag a local leader who should be featured next.
Because leadership starts with showing up, and we know Tucson is full of incredible people doing just that.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Lead Where You Live.